So the media has in the I want to say the last maybe 20 years. I think it's really the LeBron era. Well, stats is just, I mean, it's just, I just don't understand how we view basketball through stats. Stats means everything. And the only reason why we play the game is for wins and rings. We play to win, right? So my beef with the NBA media and the NBA is they've put so much of an emphasis on stats. Well, stats meaning everything. That's why Westbrook was able to get an MVP, because he averaged a triple double, which is stats. You just padded your stats, points, rebounds, and assists, and that's supposed to be a phenomenal thing. But his team was in like a 5th or 6th seed when they done it. And I get it, man. Make an exception to the, you can have a rule, but make an exception to it because he broke a record. But it just looks silly when he does it the year after that, and then he don't win the MVP and he don't get close to winning it. You get what I'm saying? So what are we really saying? Like, did you really value the record? Is the stats really mean that much? Like, how you voting on MVP? Like, it's very confusing. You made an exception for it, and he was in the 6th seed, so winning didn't matter that year because the significance of the record mattered more than winning, right? But in real life, you're supposed to reward those that win. And if I could sit down and show you that the way that Mike and Kobe played basketball, like put it this way: if you know how you build a 2K character, you're my player, and when you first get him, you only got so many amount of points you can spend on his attributes, right? So if let's say you got 100 points you can spend, and you give 25 to dribbling, 25 to shooting, 25 to athleticism, and another 25 to I don't know, defense or something, right? That's all your points. Or you can say, man, I'm gonna give all 100 points to shooting, right, and suck everywhere else, right? And imagine if your superstar had a choice whether that he wanted to concentrate on being a dominant scorer. You only get 2 choices. Do you want to be a dominant scorer and a great defender at the same time, right? And if you do that, it's more conducive to winning. Or do you want to be a dominant scorer and a dominant passer at the same time? And it's not that conducive to winning. That's basically what the MVP has boiled down to. All dominant scorers are going to be considered for MVP. But the second part is, when they're looking at stats, is if you're doing the point guard duties and you're getting all the assists, then that's going to give you an extra stat that most guys that are trying to win are not doing. Because if you got your mind on defense, you don't want to be the guy that's setting everybody up on offense and setting the table and getting all the assists, because I have to worry about scoring on offense. So if I got to worry about scoring, and then on the other end, I got to worry about defending at a high level, I'm not trying to expend no energy being no point guard or being no point forward or being no assist king. So when you look at Jordan and Kobe, they were elite defenders. So they chose to exert their energy on defense and scoring on offense without the ball, right? They get, if I'm off the ball and somebody else is handling the point guard duties, that gives me more energy. I can rest on offense if I wanted to, but if I'm resting on offense, I got somebody else that can run the offense. So I'm not gonna hurt my team by doing that. But if I rest on defense, I'm gonna hurt my team, right? But notice that all the guys who average close to a triple double are considered bad defenders when they was doing it. When James Harden was averaging close to a triple double, horrible defender in Houston. When Russell Westbrook was averaging a triple double, horrible defender. Luka, when he was averaging a triple double, horrible defender. When LeBron James is playing that way, I wouldn't say he was a horrible defender, but he rested on defense and he didn't take the hard assignment every single time. He went some years without playing defense. And Jokic, another guy about that triple double, not that great of a defender. Notice the guys who average triple doubles don't defend that well, and notice the guys who defend well don't try to play point guard. They just worry about scoring without the ball. Just picture that, right? So when you start hearing people say that, oh man, he look at his stats, look what he averages, look at his assists, and they're saying that that's the reason why they're averaging triple double. You always got to ask yourself then, if doing it that way was such a great idea, then how come the guy like Shai Gilgeous is doing it like Kobe and Jordan by being a dominant scorer on offense, playing off the ball, but on defense being locked down? Why does he have the #1 record in the Western Conference? Why was his way leading to more wins just like Jordan and Kobe, but the way Westbrook and Harden was doing it and Luka was doing it, always keep you in that 5th and 6th seed? Even when Jokic first got his first MVP, or his second one, whenever he was in the 6th seed, when he almost averaged a triple double, he was in the 6th seed, right? So just think about the triple double kings. The winning don't follow them. The stats do, but the winning don't. But the guys who's doing with the way Shai Gilgeous did it, you have guys you're in good company with guys like Kobe and Mike. So listen to how they was talking about this on the Odd Couple.
He had an unbelievable season. He's not the MVP, okay, and he doesn't lead in any. Third in scoring, right? He doesn't lead in anything.
Steals, if you want.
Okay, and then the other two guys, Chris, who are ahead of him, have better stats. He might have a better scoring average than them, but overall, when you look at all of their stats, they're better. That's all. I'm not. I know he's a young guy. I know he led a young team, but am I off with the stat? Like all their stats are better.
No, you're not off.
I'm trying to be fair, and I'm not trying to rip the kid who had a tremendous season, but let's not, like, if you told me he led in 3 categories, Chris, and he was ahead of them in 2 out of the 3 categories, both of them, maybe I could buy it. Maybe.
Well, no, I'm with you.
That's all I'm saying.
The reason he is behind Jokic and Luka on my ballot is exactly what you said. I mean, Luka's stats. Come on, what are we talking about? Luka, 33.9 points a game, first in the league. More so, Shai. That's almost 4 points more than Shai.
Right there, Chris. He's #1. You're 3.
Got that.
You should be the MVP. I mean, if you just
Luka 9.2 rebounds, Shai 5.5. So he's got him there by almost 4. Assists, because you could say, oh, well, of course, Luka's bigger than Shai.
Right, of course he's going to have more rebounds.
But what about the assists? Luka 9.8 assists, second in the league, and Shai 6.2.
That case closed. Okay, so that's case closed. And then
Jokic, of course, averaging 26 points a game, which is still in the top 10. But Rob, 12.4 rebounds. I think he's third in the league in rebounds with 12.6, fourth. 12.4. And then 9 assists a game. That's third in the league. So he's a center averaging more assists than Shai.
Right.
Obviously more rebounds. Those numbers, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage is more efficient than Shai.
So listen to how when they was talking about Shai at the beginning, and when he said, he don't lead in anything statistically, and Chris Broussard was like, well, he leads in steals, and he just ignored it, like, forget about defense. He just ignored it, right? So the fact that you lead in the statistical category defensively meant nothing to them. He's getting almost 3 steals a game, right? And he's not just getting steals; he's playing really great lockdown defense, and his team being a top-rated defensively team, just like Edwards is in Minnesota, and just like Tatum is in Boston. But that don't count for anything when it goes toward the MVP race. Defense counts for nothing. They just wash defense out of the whole conversation. They don't count for nothing. And then they wash your team's success and record out of the conversation. The only thing that matters to them as journalists and stat nerds in the MVP race is points, rebounds, assists, And then if you go to advanced analytics, if you need to describe that, because if it comes down to somebody like Embiid, who, who's playing both ends of the floor at an elite level, and his team is winning, and he's leading the league in points, and then he's top 5 in blocks, and like Embiid had a really great case. That's why he won it last year. When you're comparing him to a guy like Jokic, you got to go to advanced analytics, and then you got to start saying stuff like win shares, and a Jokic post play is the number one. You're averaging 1.9 points a possession with a Jokic post play, and it's the number one ranked play in basketball. You got to go to all that type of stuff to explain why he ain't providing value on defense and things of that nature, right? And then for Luka is even worse, because even at least Jokic, a couple of years he got MVP. His team was up there ranked very high, number 1, number 2 in the league, number 3 sometimes, whatnot. But this comment that Cash put on the thing, remember when Jokic was a 5th seed, was because he had no Jamal. I don't care what the excuse is why he was a 5th seed. The point is, a 5th seed can't get more votes than a number 1 seed when they both are leading their team. Like if what I did helped me get to a number 1 seed, and what you did got you to a number 5 seed, I don't care what the excuse is. Oh, I'm only a 5th seed because I didn't have my number 2 player. Okay, so what? That just means that your number 2 player didn't, you go miss out on MVP this season. Better luck next year. Like we can't cheat players out of earned stuff and earned MVPs because a guy that we want to give it to didn't have all his tools to be able to get to it. You get what I'm saying? We can't cheat. If we run a 100-meter dash and I win, and then you say the only reason why you won because I didn't have my spikes, I can't turn around and say, well, you won because you didn't have your spikes. Give him the number 1 ribbon. No, I earned the number 1 ribbon, but you got an excuse why you couldn't do it. But we're just gonna have to find out when you have your spikes if you can beat me. So we're just gonna have to find out the next year if you can get the MVP when Jamal comes back. But that don't mean we got to give it to you and feel sorry for you because you didn't have your number 2 and give it to somebody in the number 5 seed. Just like Westbrook wasn't supposed to deserve it just because he averaged a triple-double. Thank you for making history. Thank you for doing something we haven't seen since Oscar, but we're not giving you the MVP for it sitting at the 5th seed. We value winning around here, right? And if you start treating things like that and you start valuing winning and valuing defense, then the players would value winning and defense. You wouldn't have people, fans and owners like Mark Cuban calling for MVP. Mark Cuban tweets 3 times a day, MVP, MVP, MVP for Luka. Every single day. I follow him on X. Every morning, his first tweet is MVP. He been wanting Luka to get an MVP for 3 years. He's not earning it. He's sitting at a 5th seed. He's not earning it. We literally have Jason Tatum in the number 1 seed, OKC in the number 1 seed, and we got Anthony Edwards to outperform him as well. Because remember, my calculations and how my criteria for MVP is you have to have, and move this comment out the way so y'all can see it. You have to have offensive value, right? Because it's about most valuable player. So how can a player that's valuable on offense and valuable on defense ever be considered lower than the guy who's only valuable on offense? Like, that don't even make sense. Like, offense is 50% of the game. Defense is the other 50%. Put them together, that's 100%. So if I'm valuable on offense and defense, that makes me a 100% player. If you're valuable only on offense, that makes you a 50% player. How can a 50% player ever be more valuable than a 100% player? So if you got the first 2 legs of offensive value and defensive value, you already got yourself ahead of the curve. Now, if your offensive value and defensive value actually led to team success, then voila. I got Jason Tatum, who's valuable offensively, valuable defensively, and he has the most successful team in the league. That equals out more than a guy who's only valuable offensively, who has less team success and no value defensively. There's no way Luka can be getting more votes than Tatum or Edwards or SGA. The only person that should be in this race is Jokic. Luka does not belong in this race. Jokic, I would have SGA number 1. I would have me, honestly, just by my criteria, I would have Tatum 2 and I would have Jokic 3. And then I would have Edwards at 4 and then possibly Luka at 5. That would be my top 5 MVP right now. Luka would be at 5. I would have SGA 1, Tatum 2, Jokic 3, Edwards 4, Luka 5. But for them to come out and say that Luka is number 1 or 2 and Jokic is number 1 and 2 and SGA is number 3, all because he don't average 9 assists. You think the 9 assists is more valuable than defense? Like, what are these people even thinking about? Like, somebody make that make sense for me. Defense has no value. So my suggestion and how you fix this is you have to create the offensive player of the year. That way that players that only play offense can win an award. But defense is reserved for those who lead their team to success and have offense and defensive value. That's the MVP because he's most valuable because he's valuable on both ends. But for a guy valuable on one end, that's the offensive player of the year. And yes, I would vote Luka the offensive player of the year right now over everyone. 100% Luka is the offensive player of the year. But he's not the MVP because he's only valuable in one area and not both. And that's the last thing I say about it. I'm gonna open the phone lines up. Y'all can call in, get y'all thoughts on this MVP race or anything random. You know, I take phone calls and I probably shut it down in 10 to 15 minutes. So the phone call come in, we can have a conversation. If not, then I end the show and I see y'all on Friday with the full panel. But yeah, that's those are my thoughts on Luka's getting the scoring title. Embiid was in line for it before his injury. But yeah, Luka gets the scoring title. But I'm really serious about the offensive player of the year. The offensive player of the year should be a thing in the NBA, and that way it won't be no confusion about the MVP. We can reward guys that's all offense very easily. Hit the like button for sure, man. Make sure you do that. The NBA does love Luka, 100%. So Jordan never deserved a MVP when the Bulls weren't first. It's not about being first, Kaz. It's about the totality of the thing, right? So if I have 3 candidates, right, I'm going to take in consideration all of these things, right? So it's not necessarily the team that's number 1, but all of this is going to be factored in. So Michael Jordan always had offensive value. He always had defensive value, and he always had team success. But was his team the most successful every single time? Definitely not, because I think his first MVP, he was in the 5th seed, maybe fifth seed. But if you take all the other MVP candidates, you have to ask yourself, did they have all 3 as well? Right. So, and if it was a candidate that had all 3, I wasn't following the MVP race back then, so I can't really tell you who had all 3. So I don't know. I don't know if MJ deserved that one when his team didn't have the best record or one of the best records. I don't know. So it's possible one of his they probably should gave it to somebody else. I don't know. But you have to look at the other candidates, because if the guys who had better records than MJ was less valuable on offense and less valuable on defense as he was, which they probably was because that year that his team was not the top seed, he got defensive player of the year. He was the scoring champion and the steal champion. So it's safe to say that he was the best offensive player and he was the best defensive player because he got both of those awards. So to be first team all defense, be the defensive player of the year and the steals champion and the scoring champion, I think it's safe to say that, yeah, he was number one in both of those things and probably not number one in team success. But that's how they worked out. It actually worked out that he actually deserved it more than whoever the other candidates was. Funky Town, what's your thoughts?
Man, you gotta be going in late to work tomorrow. Anyway, yeah. No. There was absolutely not one of his that somebody else was supposed to get. So that's not. As a matter of fact, I know I ain't got nothing with Cash. I mean, Cash knows what he's talking about. He said it's from Chi-Town. Point is, no, that was 87 when he's 31 and 37-1. Didn't win it. Next season, 35, he did, and they had no choice because he won everything. It was so outrageous. It was no one else that could possibly have won it, and they could not have done it. But after that, 89, they did it. They took it away from him in 89, gave it to Magic. They gave it to Magic in 90 when they actually had Jordan come in third behind Magic and Barkley. Then you go into Barkley in 93, and then of course 97 with Malone.
Mm-hmm.
But those people were getting graded on a different scale. Jordan was still like I said with Luka, he was still already the point leader. He won every one of those years. He was number one in points.
Mm-hmm.
Every year. He was up. He 3 of those years he was the leader in steals at the same time.
Yep.
We already know he was first team defense all those times too. So the point is, they were not. Everyone else was having their absolute greatest season, and that was what they said. Okay, we're gonna give Charles his flowers this time, and then this time we're gonna give it to
Malone.
Malone.
Yep.
But if you look at the actual stats, as people want to say or whatever, they would come up with a narrative, and that's what to me this is what this is going on. It's a narrative. They're not taking a totality and saying, okay, this is what we can see. The effect of what the person's done. Yes, the obviously stats are gonna have part of it, offensive and defensive stats. They should be equally, I like your triangle. It makes sense. That's a holistic way of looking at it. But if you look at how what they've been doing lately, it's all offense. It's all offense.
All offense. All stats as well. All stats.
And it's the storyline. How they want to push the story. And to me, there's no comparison. Like to me, I'm with you. Matter of fact, we kind of line up perfectly when it comes to who this SGA for me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, he's doing it on both ends. He's number one. His team's number one in the West.
Yep.
Who's got the harder conference right now?
The West for sure.
East or West?
The West for sure,
right?
Yep.
So he's doing it in a harder conference, and again, we kind of line up. I don't have anything against Joker or anything like that, but for me, not even. But again, they're gonna change the narrative up because I think they're gonna try to push Luka and make it seem like that Doughboy is somehow
Yeah, I think Luka would get it for sure. I think he'd get it.
Yeah, because that's what they to me that's the message that's been sent down. That's why these jokers in the press are pushing the stories that they're shaping things a certain way, and that is kind of how like we were saying about with Pierce and all these other people, the message has been sent down that we got to make this NBA thing look like it's legit. And so we got to start talking up this 40,000, and we got to start talking about this. We got to start doing all this. We got to make it seem like it's whatever. Bottom line is, they got a narrative they want to push, and people gonna fall in line, or they gonna get fired from ESPN like Pierce did. He ain't gonna make that mistake again. Keeping the job is hot.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's my 2 cents on it, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate the call, man.
You got it, man.
All right, now.
Y'all have a good night.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, man. I don't understand how we got to this point where defense is not even part of the equation, and winning is not part of the equation. The only thing that's part of the equation is points, rebounds, and assists. And that's basically what the MVP is now. Forget who's winning the most. Forget who's playing the other side of the ball. Points, rebounds, and assists. And if you forsake winning, you can go get like every player that's as good as Luka, Jokic, SGA, Harden, Westbrook, LeBron, Kevin Durant. Every player that's that good, that's not considered a small player like Kyrie Irving or Steph Curry. They smaller in size, or at least they don't play very athletic and physical. Where they could do some of this, but all the big wings or big men who are really good in the top 10 of players, if they wanted to average 7 to 10 assists and 7 to 10 rebounds, they could. Now, all the star players are going to get their 25 to 30 points because they're the primary scorer. But if you wasn't the primary scorer, like the difference between being a primary scorer and not being a primary scorer is basically what Kevin Love and Chris Bosh did when they went from Toronto to Miami, or from Minnesota to Cleveland. Kevin Love, when he was the primary scorer, was getting you 25 a game. When he wasn't the primary scorer, he was getting you 15 a game. Same with Bosh. He was getting you 25 a game in Toronto as the primary scorer. When he's not the primary scorer, he was getting you between 15 and 17. So if you are the primary assist guy versus not being the primary assist guy, it's the same thing as not being the primary scorer. So if I'm the primary assist guy, I'm going to get the assist. We're putting up 100 shots a game. If I'm the primary guy making the passes, I can find 9 assists out of 100 shots. Out of 100 shots, we might make 48. Out of 48 made shots, I should be able to get 9 assists. Right? That makes sense. So if I'm the primary scorer, I'm getting 30 shots a game. I should be able to get 25 to 30 points out of 30 shots. And if I'm the primary assist guy, I should be able to get 9 assists. The rest of it is just strategically, if I can get the rebounds. If I'm a 7-footer like Jokic, yeah, I'm going to be down there where the rebounds going to be at. But if I'm Luka and I want those rebounds, the easiest way to get them is not be the guy defending the ball. And Luka is never hardly ever the guy defending the ball. He's always the guy defending the short corner. So when those long shots go up, rebounds can fall. He's not boxing no one out to get those rebounds, and he's not contesting any shots. So the guy that's doing all the contesting and playing defense and keeping his man in front of him, and he driving to the hole, and I got to contest. I can't contest the shot, jump all the way in the air with my stretch arms, and then turn around, hit the ground, and box out and get a rebound. It don't work like that. So if you're playing lockdown defense, you're not going to be the guy in the best position to get rebounds. But if you're the guy who's been hidden on defense because we don't want you to foul or we don't want you to get blown by and give up layups, we're just going to put you on the guy in the corner. Yes, rebounds are going to fall in your lap. So it's not even impressive to get high volume rebounds in this era anymore. And it's not impressive to get those assists either, because if I make you the primary passer, you're going to get between 7 and 9 assists. It's not that impressive. So for guys like SGA, he is the guy that's normally contesting the shots and playing lockdown defense because he's a great defender. So he's not going to be getting those rebounds the way Luka does. And he's not the guy who's just ball dominant, who has a high usage rate with the ball, that's responsible for all the assists on the team. So he's not going to have the high assists either. So basically what I'm saying, I took the long way to say this. Rebounds and assists is a strategy based on how your team uses you. It doesn't tell me that you're doing something better than me. It's my team is not using me like that. But the way my team is using me has me in the number 1 seed. So the way I play is more conducive to winning than the way you play. The way you play is more conducive to stats. I'd rather go after the win and then my stats just end up being what they are versus I'm going for this style of play for stats and then my wins just end up being what they are. Right? So, I mean, I just wanted to put that out there, man. That's how I see it, man. Appreciate y'all welcoming me. It's almost a 3-hour episode, man. Appreciate all the super chats, the phone calls, and the comments. And I catch y'all on Friday with the full panel. Yep. Until next time, peace.